Right, guys, another crispy morning here. Beautiful. It's going to be a lovely day. I've got an early fire on because it was midday yesterday or later when I put the fire on because I did my shopping haul. They call it a haul in the USA. A haul, man. A shopping haul. And I was just thinking, so I'll go into a bit more the science of frugality. And some people, I don't know, would maybe deem this as prepping. Now, that's not why I do it. That's not why I do it. It's my science is a little bit different, or way of thinking, mentality, and that is that like you're managing things ahead of time, and that brings various benefits. Number one is the money is spent; it's out of the bank, which is banks are not safe really to keep your money, right? Secondly, you can beat inflation by however long the items will last. Let's say they last a year, so you will beat inflation by a year, right? And also I'm buying things which are actually on offer now, so it's a double whammy. You're not only beating inflation, you've got an offer, and then you bought all those goods. Like I'll give the example of the tomato passata, which I'll use. Absolutely. I used some yesterday on my trout. I had trout yesterday. Right, and it's not to be cheapskate, so you're buying offers, you're buying a year ahead, you're getting the money managed properly out of the bank and into the cupboards. You're investing in your cupboards. I don't have a lot of stuff. I don't think, compared with some people you see on the preppers things, and they don't eat the stuff. And a lot of the stuff will just go to waste. And I watch a guy called Jeremiah Babe, and he bought all the expensive stuff, survival foods and all that, so-called, in the mylar bags and all that. He threw it all away. He gave it away in the desert to people, homeless people, which probably didn't go to waste. But that's another thing with the science of this. Make sure you buy things that you're gonna eat. Right? Now there's other things like another benefit could be sometimes Lidl it doesn't have what I'm looking for. And I'm pretty sure they've only just reintroduced the coconut milk, which I use quite a lot of, and I'm going to use some today in my rabbit curry. I'm going to make a curry today, and that'll last me 4 days. So that's another one. Box ticked. Now, they haven't had it for a couple of months, the coconut milk in Lidl, right? And so I still had some up to last week. So by buying it ahead, I made sure I had some when there was I don't know whether it was a supply issue or what. I've no idea, but they didn't have it, and now they do. But my stock lasted, so that's another benefit you can get. It's not very often that'll happen. The stuff I'm buying, and so there's the science involved. So you're winning. You've got wins all the way down the list. And another one is, people criticize people for buying stuff in stock and stocking up, and they call them hoarders. And some good animals are hoarders, like squirrels. Nobody criticises them for stocking up. And people stocked up in the old days, you know. They had a pantry. Anyway, so what it does is it makes way for you when there's a panic buying. It isn't the preppers that's what they said it was last time, when they locked everyone up, and everyone's running around like chickens with no heads, looking for toilet paper, and anyone's guess why toilet paper. You know, you can actually do without toilet paper. You could like make a makeshift. What's his name? Bidet, something like that arrangement to wash your ass, and probably better. Everyone had a bidet in Sicily when we went there, and Albania, because it's an Italian influence there. Like, anyway, that's an aside. Bidets, I like bidets. Good. And I'm gonna put it downstairs bathroom here, and I'll put a bidet in. I haven't seen them in Bulgaria, even for sale, but I'm sure they've got them. Absolutely, I'll be able to get one. Hope it's the same colour. Anyway, so there's a few like thoughts. I'm prepping this doomsday. It would help you, and it helps in emergency situations like the lockups. I wasn't playing tug of war with toilet paper, and I'm not saying I'm great and all that, but like I wasn't there. I wasn't in the supermarket because I had everything that I needed to get through. You know, let's say a month. And I didn't go out. I didn't go out for a while until I worked out what was going on. But you think everyone had a certain amount of time. Some people worked it out straight away. But it took me a little bit longer because I went to a different country, and you're getting the barometer. And then I worked it out. It took about 3 weeks to work out that it was a total is mama. Look it up. Is mama. And that was my opinion, and it still is. Or the whole lot of it was a complete. And nothing much happened here at all. Our town didn't go for it. The people in charge, they must have been of a way of thinking. They did certain measures, and that was it. Like, which were national things, but nobody went along with it, except for the security guard in Lidl. He used to chase people around the shop, and he disappeared when he was harassing. He was harassing the customers about the face coverings. And I remember one girl, she was at the till, she just told him to fuck off. In Bulgarian, she said, you know, what do you want? What are you harassing me for? Fuck off, you know. And he was one of these guys that had all the gear on. Like some of the police, they get extra stuff from all these you can buy the stuff online, like from American police forces or whatever. You know, all the torches and everything. They've got everything. And I think he had some. He worked for the local. But he's one of these jobs worths, right? And he was interfering with everything. He was interfering with the trolleys, with people and all sorts. You know, he couldn't keep himself to himself, and the parking and all that. Anyway, and he had all this gear, and he had handcuffs, had everything. I don't think he had a gun. You wouldn't give him a gun. You wouldn't. Some of the security guards have guns when they're in the banks and things like that. You don't see that much now, very often, at all. Not in our town, anyway. The guards were on banks. Like when I first came here, a lot of banks had guards, with armed guards. But it wouldn't be him. He'd only get the little job because it was a bit of a... he'd be whipping his gun out every 5 minutes, holding people up. Anyway, so that was the guy from Lidl. And he disappeared just after he was harassing all the people in Lidl. I never saw him again after that. I think I've seen him knocking about since in the last year or so, but that was like 3 years, 4 years ago. 5 even. Yeah, 5 years. Time flies. So that's it. Doomsday prepping. That's not really what I stock up for. It really isn't. And when you stock up, you're getting ahead. That's another thing. You're getting ahead. That all that stuff's come off the next shopping trip that you bought, and you get ahead. And you only have to buy in the end the fresh stuff, vegetables and meat or whatever. And I even stock up on meat, which I've just run out now. This is my last protein I've got. So as part of my... and also what I'm doing is preempting price gouging for next year. The euro. This is pre-euro. We're going into the euro in Bulgaria on January the 1st. And it's a disaster. It will be a disaster. And there's going to be some gouging going on and all that. There is. It's going on now. The pre-gouging now, because they know they're going to be... all these watchdogs are ready for the January the 1st, but they should be doing it now. So get out there, watchdogs. They have reported a few instances. There was one the other week. What were they hiking up? It was a fruit. It might have been cherries. They were hiking it. That was a while ago. Yeah, they hiked them up. Price gouged them. And they gouged the, what's his name as well? Fuel. Any excuse. There's sanctions now against Lukoil, but nothing's changed. But they're saying, the diesel's gone up, but nothing's changed. It hasn't even been done yet. The transfer of Lukoil to somebody else, it hasn't happened, and it hasn't stopped producing anything. This is what they do. So you're protecting yourself against all sorts of things like that when you stock up, Anyway, I'm just going to have a slug of coffee from... I don't see much coffee on offer, really. The iconic Duralex mug. Beautiful. And I had the pastry. I bought a pastry yesterday. That's now and again. And it's a treat then as well. I really look forward to it. And I didn't eat it yesterday like a pig. I waited for my coffee this morning. So that's restraint as well. So you've got to exercise all these things during every day. As frugality. And make it a treat. I mean, the coffee. I have the coffee. I haven't been having it every single morning lately. I just don't feel like. Some days. I just don't feel like. Especially if I'm going somewhere like... If I'm going to shops or into town, I get it from the machine. It's cheaper. It's got to be. 60 statinky. 27 pence. And coffee. Fantastic. I don't know what they're going to hike that, definitely, with the euro. They'll hike the vending machines. Well, they've got to change the whole machine. Or all of the coin part of it. Which, it's a bit of a... it's. I think it's like it's one big waste of time in Bulgaria. There's other countries like Macedonia, North Macedonia, who use the euro. It's red. You can use it more there than you can here, and we're in the EU. Bulgaria's in the EU, but they'll accept it there almost everywhere, and it's even on the toll booths in there. You can do both on the motorways. The toll, the toll booths on the North Macedonian motorways, which are every 500 yards if you ever go there. Take plenty of coins. You seem to be stopping every few kilometres. They're everywhere. I know it's a small country, like there's they've concertinaed them all up, and Croatia, and they're in the euro now. Croatia, and there's other places like Kosovo who just adopted the euro. They're not in it officially, and that's the best. If you want to go in the euro, that's the best way to do it because you don't have to pay. Because Bulgaria, it's going to cost them a lot of money to be in the euro. You've got to pay into these funds, and you've got to also submit some of your national bank reserves. You've got to add to the reserves of the European Bank. But like North Macedonia, almost everywhere in Albania as well. They'll take euros. So, not so much as Macedonia. Macedonia take them everywhere. But like they're not in the euro. You don't have to be. But they're pegged to the euro, just like the lev, and it works perfectly. And you've always been able to transact here in euros if you want to. Nobody stops you. My bank account's euros. I had levs on euros. I've closed the lev one now. And I took all the levs out to spend them now. In fact, I've got to start spending what I've got. I've got it, because we're almost there. Although you can still spend them, I think, for 6 months. Or just change them free of charge. FOC. That's another thing. If you've got loads of levs, don't change them now, because you'll get charged. But after 1st of January, it's free. There's another one. Another piece of great advice on here. So that's my mentality, and I'm not, you don't have to prep for doomsday. If doomsday's coming, you won't need any food. If something's coming along that these people are saying that is that bad, a bit of food's not going to move the needle. And when people know that you've got it, they'll be round. They'll be round, asking you for some, and I'd probably give it to them if they ask for it nicely. People do that in the mountains. Everyone will always help everyone else. They put all the differences aside when it snows. Everyone's out there. Everyone's out there. And working together, digging out each other's cars and everything, pushing cars. Everyone's together. Anyway, and they probably don't even probably like each other that much, because not everyone likes everyone else, but they know here that they actually know the value of neighbours and being a neighbour. They put the differences aside when the push comes to shove. I've noticed that they won't have much to do with each other until you need to push a car, or someone needs a shovel, or they need assistance or anything. And I've noticed that over the years, and it's not like bending over backwards for people or anything like that. They just know the value, and they don't do it. They don't do favours to owe favours so much. That's very a clear thing in the UK. I owe you one. Here, you don't owe anybody anything. They don't do it for that. I know they don't, because people have done things for me, and they don't expect anything back. They really don't. It's absolutely don't. It's not in their culture. Anyway, that's how I'm reading it anyway. No one's ever going to say, I did this for you. I need you to repay the favour. I don't think it's part of the culture. Maybe the Bulgarian people who watch this can confirm that. But that's as far as I know. As far as I see what's around me, that's the message I'm getting. Anyway, so that's it. So I'm not some mad prepper who preps for this doomsday, or like you're gonna go get a bag to get bug out bag, and you're gonna be in the woods. That ain't gonna work, That's not gonna work. You could actually go here with if you had a gun and you were good at hunting, you might just get by in the woods. But you'd have to be careful when you're lighting a fire, because they'll see the smoke, whoever's looking for you. And they'll smell the food. Anyway, I'm not bugging out. I'm not going anywhere. I haven't got a gun. But like the last place I'd go to around here is in the woods. You've got some big animals around, and you never know what's around. Like within 25 kilometres of here, there's bears. I don't know how the wolves are getting on. I don't hear much about wolves. In Bulgaria, I don't know whether there's a big population anymore, but the bears are increasing. So, you'd have to think about having some bear spray in certain areas around here. And I know where there's some bears. And we stayed in a place once on the Greek border, and they had a hide. They used to put food out for the bears, and people used to go and watch them as part of the, the tourism type stuff. And they didn't come when we were there, but they had videos, and he showed us them on his phone. The guy who owned the place. But so there are bears, plenty of them in Bulgaria. So I wouldn't be bugging out there. And there's dogs as well. There's dogs knocking about in the countryside. You got to be careful with them. Any dogs in Bulgaria. There's been a few deaths, not so much lately. I think this woman, she was delivering the post or something like that, and this pack of dogs killed her. There's been a few since I've been here. You got to be careful. Anyway, so that's my theories on stocking up, and one of the main ones is actually to getting your money to safety out of the banks, and that's quite real. So if your bank is frozen, you've got the passata in the cupboard. If your bank account gets frozen, which happens a lot. At least you'll have some passata. Anyway, cheers.